you're learning how to make sound financial decisions when it comes to loans. So last week when we talked about compound interest, you learned about how investing money can pay off, right? Based off of interest rates, based off of compounding periods, et cetera, et cetera. Okay? Now you're going to be looking at the other side when you yourself need to borrow money and making sure you make the best decision when it comes to interest rate, the life of the loan. Life of the loan meaning what? What does that mean? How long you have the loan for. That's what that means. So the life of the loan is how long you have the loan for, et cetera, okay? So we're going to be talking about some basic things first, and then we'll get into the examples. And there is no formula here. Everything is going to be done using the financial TMB solver in your calculator. So you will need your calculator today. So if you don't have it, you need to get it. So loans and annuities play an important role in your life. Like I said, we'll be talking about annuities next class. And the most common way that people do decide to borrow money for larger financial purchases, that's for homes, cars, personal loans, like for, furniture, weddings, things like that, they take out a personal loan, okay? It's called a personal loan. The financial institution, a lot of times that could be a bank or a credit card company, they will lend out the amount of money to a borrower, okay? Remember we talked about what a borrower is, that would technically be you, okay? Who repays the amount plus interest by a series of regular repayments over a given time period. That process of you basically paying off the amount that you borrow plus interest on a monthly or a regular basis is called amortization. That's what it's called. All right? Now, interest, we know that that's a part of it, okay? But interest is calculated on a reducing balance of the loan. Okay, on a reducing balance of the loan. So the interest is going to gradually reduce as the loan is repaid. So when you first borrow the money and you start your repayments, interest is always really, really high. The reason why is because the bank wants to make sure that they get back the money that they initially invested to you. Because I don't know if anybody's ever heard of someone, when they borrow money, they end up missing a payment. And it starts to affect their credit, and then it might even go into collections, okay? So interest is always really high at the beginning because the bank wants to make sure that if you borrow $10,000, they've gotten back their $10,000 in the case that you go into collections or you can't make the payments. Does that make sense? Okay? And so because of interest, the total repayment will always be greater than the originally borrowed amount. It's always greater, okay? Now, the faster that you pay off a loan can reduce the amount that you end up repaying back. But if you decide to stick with the loan payment, you'll always end up paying more than what you originally borrowed. Okay? So $10,000 is never how much you pay back. It's always more. Questions so far? All right. So the interest that you pay is calculated by taking the total amount that you repay. So your total repayments subtracted from the initial amount, okay? Subtracted from the initial amount. So you'll know exactly how much you'll end up paying in interest if you decide to stick to the normal schedule. And all these situations that we're looking at, we're not looking at any type of collections, any type of missed payments, and anything like that. Because when you miss payments, of course, you incur fees, okay? So that's like additional money that you'll have to pay back on top of the original borrow and the interest, okay? So we're talking about this is every situation is the perfect person who makes their payments on time, who follows the schedule, okay? This is in a perfect world. It doesn't happen that way. Everybody always misses a payment at some point in time. We can use a table of repayments to work out the repayments required for a loan. So you can use it based off of a table versus using your calculator feature, okay? And the table basically shows you the amount that you need to repay each month for every $1,000 borrowed. So what you see on your foldable, and what you also see up here on the board is basically a table, a shortened table, because this table can expand all the way up until 24% interest, okay? You can see exactly how much you'll have to pay a month per $1,000 borrowed, okay? So let's say you borrow $1,000 and you're going to basically repay it back every month for 1 year. And it has a 4% interest rate. That means your payments will basically be about $85 every month to repay back that loan, okay? But let's say you borrowed $1,000 and you're going to pay it back in 5 years. that means every monthly payment at 4% will be only $18. Okay? So the longer the loan, the smaller payments that you'll have. But of course, the longer the loan, the more interest you'll have to pay back by the end of the loan. Does that make sense?
So $1,000 plus that.
So no. So these will basically be the payments that you make every month for 5 years.
Gotcha.
Got me? Okay. That's I think probably the first thing that you might actually experience is buying a car. Okay. When you buy a car, you can either finance it for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, or 6 years, and they always break it down into months. So it's really 36, 48, so on and so forth. Okay. The longer you have the longer you finance it for, the cheaper your payments are going to be. But again, you're going to end up paying more for that. Okay. So you kind of. That's why people try to bring in more money when they go and buy a car, right? Because the more money you put down, the smaller that the less you'll have to pay. Okay? So, like I said, we're going to be using your solver and your calculator to do all these problems. There is a formula, but you don't need it for examination purposes. Since you are receiving the amount of the loan, your principal value is going to be positive. Okay? So since the bank is the one giving you the money, it's positive. Your payments, however, which is the amount that's going to be repaid each time, is going to go in as a negative number. So think of it like this. When we were doing compound interest last time, anytime we put in money, it was a negative number. So pretty much anytime that you are putting in money or money is coming out of your pocket, it's always negative. But anytime money comes into your pocket, it's always positive. Okay? So since we're receiving the loan, it's positive, but since we have to pay, the amount is going to go in as a negative in your calculator, but it's going to always be a positive number when you write the final answer. All right? Ready? Let's look at Erica. Erica takes out a personal loan of $16,500 to buy a car. Okay? It's probably your most basic standard, no GPS, no leather seats type of car for $16,000. Probably a Toyota Corolla. All right, she negotiates. If anybody has a Toyota Corolla, I am not trying to throw jabs. I'm just saying that's probably about the price of a Toyota Corolla. Exactly, very average. She negotiates a term of 4 years at 5.5% PA interest. PA, that's per annum, so basically it just happens every year. It doesn't change. Okay, and that's really not that bad. That's a low interest rate, a short time period for your future car buying self. Okay? Here we go. We're going to calculate the monthly repayments using the table that was on your previous page, but then we're also going to do it using our calculators as well. So, a couple of things we need to know here in order to use the table. We need to know our interest rate, and we need to know the length of time to know exactly how many payments or how much you're going to pay a month. Okay? So let's go back and let's look at our table. Okay? So when we go back to look at our table, what was the interest rate?
5.5.
So we're looking in this particular column, and then how many years is she planning to pay back for the car loan? 4. Okay? So basically we take a look, and we see where the two overlap, and then this is the magic number. Okay? This is how much she would have to pay every month for the next 4 years per $1,000 borrowed. How much money is she borrowing?
$16,500.
$16,500. So how many thousands is that?
16.5.
16.5. So to determine, using the table, how much her monthly payments are going to be, we need to take that monthly amount, which was 23. I don't remember.
2565.
2565, and we're going to multiply it by 16.5 because that's how many $1,000 set $16,500 is.
Mm-hmm.
So when we multiply those two numbers, we'll actually figure out how much she's actually going to have to pay a month for her car. So you guys can...
Yeah. You want me to?
Yep.
383.73225.
225. Okay, so that's it. Now we are talking about money here, so that means we're going to round to
Second decimal.
The second decimal place. But this is the bank. They're always going to get their money.
Oh, wow.
You round up.
To 1 penny.
So you always round up no matter what. So unless this number ends at the second decimal place, you're always going to round up to the next cent. So this person is going to have to pay, Erica's going to have to pay $383.74 every month for the next 4 years to pay off that car loan. Okay? So in this case, your rules of rounding don't apply. You're always going to round up. Okay? So for amortization and annuities. Now let's use this, let's check this answer using our calculator. Now, when you do use your calculator for these types of problems, in order to get all the potential points possible, you are going to need to write out exactly what's on your screen. That's the N, that's the I, that's the PV, the PMT. Like you'll have to write out literally every line and write in what you basically typed in. This is the only time calculator notation is okay in IB when you're using this application, okay? Then the last thing is payments per year and then compounding periods per year. So, going back to the last lesson, what did N stand for?
Number of compound periods.
Number of compounding periods. Well, this is monthly for how many years?
4.
So, what are we going to do to those?
4 times 12.
You're going to multiply 4 times 12. And you can literally type it in as 4 times 12, or you could just type in 48. I stood for interest, and we just type it in exactly how it is as the percent. So 5.5. We do not convert it to a decimal. PV represented, and that's the present value of the loan. So how much did she borrow? $16,500. PMT stood for payment. That's what technically we're trying to find out. So we're going to leave that. We're not going to put anything in there. Okay? So when we do get our answer, we'll write it in on this line. FV. What essentially are we trying to get to by the end of this 4 years? No, like how, like the loan should be how much by the end of the 4 years?
0.
It should be 0. Okay? We're trying to basically pay back everything. So we want to make sure there's a balance of $0.00. PV. How many payments are we making in 1 year? 12, because it's monthly.
Yep.
And then when you type in 12 here, compounding periods always updates to whatever PV is. Okay? And so that's exactly what we write down on our paper to get our marks for our method. And that's exactly what we type into the calculator when we go into the financial application of the calculator. Where was it located?
Apps, and then you do, and then financial, and then
Very good.
TMZ.
And then TBM.
TVM. Yeah.
So apps is located down diagonally from your alpha button. You click enter, and we're going to go to TBM solver. And literally everything that we wrote down, that's exactly what we're typing in. Like I said, you can do 4 times 12, and it automatically updates to 48. So you don't have to worry about accidentally saying like 47 or 36. 5.5 for your interest. My present value is the how much the loan costs.
So we don't have to make present value negative.
Correct. Because remember, anytime money is given to you, it's positive. Anytime money is leaving from your pocket, that's negative when you type it into the calculator. Remember, payments is what we're looking for, so we leave that as whatever number is there. Future value is 0 because we want to make sure that the loan is at $0. And payments per year is 12. And like I said, compounding periods per year always updates when you change that up. So remember when we use this application, we go up to the line of what we're trying to find, which was the payments. And then how do we do it? Who remembers? Alpha solve. Or
On enter.
alpha enter. You press alpha and enter on the line, and it shows you exactly how much you'll have to pay. Isn't that what we said?
Yeah.
Yes, and the reason why it's negative is because that's how much you have to pay. So when it comes down to you writing this on your paper, yes, you'll write the negative number in this line, but your final answer is going to be positive. That's how much you're going to owe. Question.
So if we could find it, like if we could find it the easy way by just like multiplying those two numbers, do we have to go through all of these?
No, you don't have to, but the thing is that you're not going to be given the table on examinations. You're going to have to use this feature. And so then this goes back still to your final answer. Okay? But for like your projects, your homework, yes, you have access to the table so you can use it. Questions? It's not too bad, right?
No, not really.
Okay, not too bad.
At the moment.
All right. So hence, calculate the total repayment. The total repayment is how much you're going to have to pay in the span of those 4 years. Okay? So I know I'm paying $383.74 every month for how many months? 48. Where did 48 come from?
4 years, 12 months.
4 years, 12 months. So I'm going to multiply that monthly payment by 48 to figure out exactly how much I'm going to pay overall.
18419.52.
Now, is that 5.2?
5.3? No, it's only 5.2. It just ends there.
It ends at 5.2?
Yeah.
Okay, so since it ends, and it's probably because we only did 2 decimal places, then it's going to be that. Yep,
Okay.
very good.
When we're doing that, do you want us to use our rounded answer?
And see, and because you know I'm always about, don't you round until the final thing, but because it is based off of your monthly payments, and your monthly payments are rounded, then you'll use the rounded answer.
So the all of the things we wrote down for the T&V solver, is that what we did for the B?
No, so for BI, we actually just took how much we were going to pay a month, which was the $383 number, and then we multiplied it by 48 because that's basically how much we'll have to pay every month for the next 4 years.
So that was all just for A.
So yeah, so all of this here was for A. Yes. Now to figure out the total interest charge, that's the formula that I gave you earlier. That's how much your total repayments minus your amount borrowed. So we're going to subtract the two numbers to figure out exactly how much we paid in interest. So we'll subtract that number we'll subtract 16,500 from that number to figure out exactly how much of that amount I paid that was interest. 1919? So basically, Erica, when she went in and she took out this loan for $16,500, she ended up making a monthly payment of $383.74 for a total of $18,419.52 for the entire life of the loan, and almost $2,000 of that was interest, straight interest. Okay. Questions? All right. Look at Mimi. Or Ryan. Where's Ryan? Okay. Here's Ryan. What is N? N is 36 because we have 3 years worth of monthly payments, and so it's going to be 36, okay? More than likely, all these problems that you're dealing with are going to be things that are done monthly because that's how a lot of these financial institutions do work. So, you can count on it, but just make sure that you just double check, and it does say monthly repayments, not quarterly repayments or annual repayments. You see what I'm saying? Just make sure. I. 9.6. F, PV.
10,000.
For part A, we're looking for the repayment, so that means we're looking for this part, so this is going to be where our answer is. FV.
0.
PY.
12.
And that automatically updates it to 12. So when you type this in, you go back up to PMT, you do alpha enter, and you get a negative number because that's how much Ryan owes. How much?
320. You want the whole thing or just the round?
Give me the whole thing, and then I'll round it for the final answer.
7971565.
Will do. So then that's what we'll write down on our paper, and then our final answer is, of course, going to be the positive number, which is $120.80. And this is in dollars, right? Yes, it is. So that's how much it's gonna have to pay on this particular loan. So a $10,000 loan over 3 years with a 9.6 interest rate is that much money. Now, if you think about it, we borrowed money for a car at $16,500 with a smaller interest rate, and the payments were a little bit more than that. Okay. So this time we're borrowing less money with a higher interest rate, and our payments are almost close to being the same thing. Be smart on when you decide to take out a loan how much your interest rate is, because that is going to have a big effect. Now we're going to find the outstanding balance on the loan after 1 year of repayments. So I'm looking for the outstanding balance. What part of this application am I looking for? I'm looking for FV. I'm looking for the future value. So this is what I'm going to solve for. So what am I going to plug in for N? 12, because it's asking for after 1 year. So because it's after 1 year, that means that N is technically 1 times 12, which is just 12. Interest rate hasn't changed. Neither is my initial amount that I borrowed. But I do know my payments.
Would you put the rounded positive answer?
You'll put the not the positive answer, but you'll put the negative rounded answer. Because remember, when you go to plug in for your payments, that's how much is coming out of your pocket, so it needs to go in as a negative number. FB is what we're solving for, and what's PY? 12 and 12. So again, anytime we are trying to, we have to plug anything for payment or we get anything for payment, it's going to need to be a negative number. So when we do alpha enter on FV, how much?
Negative 6979.80.
6979.
It's 80. Like
Give me the rest before we go.
805319.
So after 1 year of making $320 payments, Ryan will owe $6,979.81 left on the loan. Yes.
Before I typed it into the calculator, I just multiplied like the monthly repayments times 12 and then subtracted that from 10,000. But it's not the same thing as with the calculator. It's like close, but it's not the same.
So wait, you said that you took 12, you multiplied the payments by 12, and then you subtracted it from 10,000. You said you got a number that was similar, but it wasn't this number. What key feature are you missing by doing that?
Interest.
The interest. The interest. That's why we can't multiply 12 by the number of payments. Okay? Because we have to take into account that its interest is still going on how much is left on the loan after each month. So that does have an effect. I'm glad you asked that though. I wasn't interested. Who's next? Don? Allie. Okay. You guys want to try Allie on your own?
Yeah.
Okay, try Allie on your own.
Would the answer to the last one be 81?
Yeah, 81. So remember, we always round up. So you guys are doing Allie. Okay, so Allie takes out a loan to buy a car for $18,000 over 5 years at a 10.5% per annum interest compounded monthly. Already, that's ridiculous. That's a lot. That's a high interest rate to be paying for 5 years for an $18,000 car. But she does it anyway, so we're going to find her monthly repayment. So let's run it down. What is N? 60. Very good, because it's 5 times 12. What's I?
10.5.
10.5. We always put it in as a percentage. What's PV?
18,000.
18,000, because that's how much she initially borrows from that financial institution. PMT?
Try solve to 0.
We're trying to solve for that, so we just leave that alone. FV? 0. PY and CY?
Well,
So automatically update. So what are her payments? Give me it before you rounded it.
386.89 and then continuing for
020.
02? Okay, and it was a negative, right? So how much were her monthly payments? 386 point.
90.
It's still 90 because if it ended, that 02 wasn't there, then yes, it would have stayed at 89. But because there's additional
Well,
decimals, you still are going to it's going to cause you to round that thing up. Now, when you calculate the total interest Allie will pay on the loan, the total interest is found by doing what?
Multiplying the monthly payments times 60.
Taking the monthly payments, multiplying it by 60.
And then when you get that answer, you subtract 18,000.
And once you get that answer, you subtract 18,000. So it's the total repayments minus the initial amount borrowed. And so how much in interest did she pay on this car?
$5,214.
yeah.
Okay. So like I said, when I said that 10.5%, that's too much. $5,000 in interest,
That's a lot.
that's a lot. That's almost about 25% more. Like on top of that, that's a lot. That's ridiculous. Okay. But we're gonna find the amount of the outstanding loan after halfway. Okay, so we're gonna figure out how much this car is worth halfway through the life of the loan. Okay, so we gotta go through this process again, but this time for N, what are we gonna put?
30.
30. How'd you get 30?
Because it
2.5
just
times.
Very good. 2.5 times 12, which was 30. I was still 10.5, and PV is still 18,000. But am I putting anything in for PMT?
yes.
What?
Negative 386.
You're putting in the payments because we know what they are, and it's going to go in as a
Oh.
negative number. FV is what we're finding. Then PY and CY are still 12.
Hmm.
So after half of the loan, how much?
10,169.128.
10,000.
169.128.
128. So then that's going to be what?
Point 13.
13. So, telling you, ain't nothing more discouraging to be like, wow, I'm halfway through paying off my car, and I haven't even gotten halfway through the amount that I borrowed. Question?
I got a 10,169.47.
That's because you didn't put the rounded.
That's why, yeah. So make sure you put the rounded because we know that that's how much she is paying every month.
I did put the rounded.
Mm.
I got the same thing, but that's what
I got the same thing, but I didn't use it as a special.
Okay. So
You probably just kept it on
0.9.
Yeah, like once you figured out what the payments were from the last one, that could have very well been it. So let's find out the payments. So if you never mind. Originally it was 60. Okay, yeah, now if you kept that and did that, second, solve, alpha, 30. That's what you got?
Yeah, I had written that on paper, but not in the calculator.
Okay, yeah, so yeah, gotta be careful. 90, so the future value. Okay, tell you, that's so discouraging, okay? So why does she have more than half of the loan to pay off when half of the loan period has already passed?
Because interest.
What about interest?
So large.
it increases as
Because
That's a lot of
interest,
time
the
frame.
total repayment will be greater than the amount originally borrowed.
Not quite. It is the interest, but what about the interest?
it continues to grow as you like she chose over 5 years, so the interest is gonna increase each time.
Not increase.
Compounded.
At the beginning, remember what I said. The bank is always what?
They want their
Get
money.
their money.
They're always going to get their money because you don't know at a certain point in time when the person could fall into collections or stop making their payments. So interest is always really, at the beginning, interest is always really what? It's always really high at the beginning, and when you make it towards the end of your loan, it actually decreases. Okay? So what you'll actually see is that when you start making payments on anything that you borrow, at the beginning, when you start looking at your table of how much like you'll still owe, how much went to interest, how much went to principal, you'll see that your principal only go down a little bit and a little bit. But as time passes, your principal amount will start to be smaller a lot faster, and your interest will start to go down. Okay, so interest is really high at the beginning and really low at the end, whereas your principal amount is really low to really big. Does that make sense? I think I might need to visually show that. Okay, so yes, it is the interest, but the reason is because interest is higher at the beginning of a loan versus at the end. You would, the only way that you could actually determine that is if you actually looked at it from, okay, after 1 year, after 2 years, after 3 years, after 4 years, and you actually looked at how much was left after each year, you would be able to see that, okay, I only paid off, like, if you only did 1 year or 2 years, you would see that she probably still owed $16,000 after 1 year, and then maybe $13,000 after 2 years. So even though she's made all these payments, she really hasn't knocked down her principal. Okay, but if you did it after 3 years or 4 years, you'll see that she's like drastically has changed. So you would have had to go through that a couple of times if you wanted to visually see it from the problem. But now that you know, you'll know that interest is always higher at the beginning than at the end. Okay, and on Friday I'll show you a pay chart that I have to owe to a financial institution, so that way you can see it for yourself, like how it works. Okay? Let's do Don, and then let's and we'll wrap it up for today. All right. Don takes out a personal loan of $12,000 to fund his wedding. This is the truth. People take out loans for weddings.
How much do it usually cost though?
It depends on you. Okay? When I was supposed to get married, I was gonna basically take out a loan for $10,000 because, to be honest, the food is the most expensive. The food and location are the most expensive cost of any wedding. Where you have it and feeding the guests. Okay. After that comes the dress, comes stationery for wedding invitations, save the dates, and then photographers. Like those are the most expensive things when it comes to planning a wedding.
Yeah.
So people usually spend anywhere between $5,000 to $15,000 on a wedding. Okay. Like legit. Okay, and I'm talking about these are like normal people, not celebrities. I'm talking about like Miss Childress, Miss Minix. Huh?
What did you say?
I said like regular people, like between $5,000 and $15,000 for a wedding.
What if you elope and like get like secretly married?
Well, I mean, you still gotta pay the cost of like the court to like legally say that if I pay for y'all are married.
Shoot, how much is that?
It's like a couple $100, but yeah. And then of course the rings. I'm about to say you ain't gonna get your girl a cheap ring, are you?
Well, I mean, I'm talking about just the wedding. I'm
Oh,
not talking
okay.
about.
I mean, you also gotta get the wedding band too. You know that's like an engagement ring and the wedding band, like they go together.
I'm sorry, I haven't been married yet.
Let's see. He's gonna repay it over 5 years at 6% per annum. Calculate monthly payments, total repayments, and the interest charge. Okay, pretty straightforward.
Yawn.
What's in?
Oh,
60 I.
6.
PV
12,000.
for this expensive wedding. Payments is what he's gonna have to pay after his wife goes crazy. Mm-hmm. FV.
0.
Perfect. And PY, CY.
Oil. On.
How much of his payment's gonna be?
What is
Negative
231?
Compounding periods per year.
Negative 231.993.
So he's gonna have to pay how much?
232.
Each month for the next 5 years. Not to mention they probably gonna have a child at some point between that, which is another expense. Children are not cheap. I'm telling you, Adulting is hard. It is so hard. I'm telling y'all, like, I can't wait to get out of high school. Yes, you can. I said it. I told you, I'm gonna hit you hard with the real world. Multiply by 60.
13920.
1392. Oh, I forgot the now. Okay.
Move to Bangladesh and like how my family.
$13,920 is really how much he's gonna actually have to pay back. Okay. So afterwards, he pays how much in interest? Okay, which is not bad. It's been worse, but even still, okay, it's a lot of things that you have to think about, and a lot of times this won't come from like a SunTrust or like Mid Florida. It's gonna come from like a credit card company. Like you're gonna spend $12,000 on your credit card, okay? And so then that's how much you're gonna have to pay back. And this is also under the impression that your interest rate is not gonna go up. It's also under the impression that your interest rate is not gonna go up. Things that can cause your interest rate to go up: late payments. If you make a late payment, especially on a credit card, a lot of these credit card companies, make sure you read the fine print, is that your interest rate will go from maybe 18% and it will permanently be at 29%.
Oh.
Whoa.
Yes, permanently for the rest of the time that you have that credit card. So it's very important that you look when you do decide to get a credit card. Do they accept late fees? Does your interest rate go up if you have a late payment? Credit card companies like Citibank, like Citicard, they have like 5 different types of cards. Now 2 of them are like that, but the other ones are for like your first time credit card holders, and they won't hit you with that. Okay? But like Discover Card, Capital One, oh God, Capital One is ridiculous on their interest rates. Just a lot of things you really need to make sure. The older you get, the more you read the fine print. Okay? But that's interest, or sorry, that's not interest, that's amortization. Okay? Making repayments when you borrow money.